movement in modern Kabbalah, which despite its use of esoteric language and internal terminology, nevertheless has, in a very profound way, influenced all the important movements of traditional Jewish thought in modernity. And here I'm referring to what's known by the scholars as the allegorical interpretation to the doctrine of Tzimtzum, and in the internal language as Tzimtzum shelo kipshuto. And this idea permeates Hasidut and Mitnagdut. In fact, this is, despite that they have common ground in this theory, it also is what fuels the acrimony and sharp debate between them. It also has influenced the Musar movement. It's influenced Rav Kook certainly, and in fact I got to the allegorical interpretation of the doctrine of Tzimtzum through the back door when reading his writings and understanding that I cannot really know what he is all about without getting into this idea, and also the thought of Rav Soloveitchik. I should begin by talking about the doctrine of Tzimtzum as it was originally understood. Rav Yitzchak Luria was a visionary, and certainly not a rational thinker, and he nevertheless, so his view of the world was more through images rather than discursive thought, but he understood the beginnings of our world as having been made possible only through a contraction of God's infinity in order to create space for something that was other than he. According to the classical image of Kabbalah, where the worlds emanate in a Neoplatonic fashion from the source, one asks, well, where was there room for them to emanate into if all was God? And so Rav Luria speaks of God as a living organism, and as all living organisms, in order to exhale, he must first inhale. Great. And this inhalation created a void, and in this void then emanated the descending line of worlds which ended in our earthly existence. Now this solved one theological problem of where was there room for something other than God, but then it also created theological problems, because how can you talk about God as they have sometimes these diet advertisements of before and after? Can you say that God sort of was contracted and he changed and there was some sort of occurrence in time when he is above time and all the rest of it? And so some of the more philosophically inclined of Luria's expositors suggested that really the Ari did not mean this to be understood literally, and when he talks about Tzimtzum, what he means is really that there was no change in creation. God before creation and after creation was exactly the same ontologically. But just as a body of water has its own life, and sometimes it freezes over or there are waves and eddies, so also the dynamic of God's internal life somehow created, if you think of, say, water's frozen, a patch frozen over in the sea, or drops as opposed when it's turbulent, it created the possibility of the impression of a separate existence of the part as opposed to the whole. The part is swallowed up in the whole without any distinction. Nevertheless, the drop has an illusory sense of being something other because he is conscious of being something other than the whole. Although from the point of view of the whole, it's irrecognizably separate, and it's swallowed up in the whole. Okay, that idea, powerful though it was, created other problems because Judaism is a religion of halakha. And if you have this idea that it's only the difference between ourselves and God is only a matter of consciousness, then, well, just meditate a bit, switch your consciousness, and voila, you are there. But if you are there, then what happens to the whole notion of moral and halachic practice, which depends on binary distinctions between tameh and tahor, asur and mutar, tov, ra, good, bad, forbidden, not forbidden. This goes out the window.